Welcome back to my channel, guys. So today's tutorial is going to be on making these pleated slits. So I have my fabric here, and this is the front part, and I'm just going to cut it out on a fast pace. This is because our main emphasis is going to be on the back part where we have the slit and not on the front part, but we actually need this front part so as to get the back part. So I'll just draft it on a very fast pace, and I am going to get another fabric to cut out our back part, which is where our main emphasis is on. So please, if you don't know how to make a basic pencil skirt, please watch my other tutorial on the channel and you will learn that. So I went on to get another fabric, and it's folded into two. Can you see? Okay, so the fabric here is what we're going to be using to cut out the back part, okay, with the slit. Okay, so remember I said it's folded into two. So from the folded part, I am going to be measuring 8 inches. I'm going to set aside 8 inches from this folded part, and I'm going to rule it from the starting line to the hemline. That is from the waist to the end of the length. Okay, so this method is applicable both for pleated dress, pleated slit dress, and skirt as well. So I went on to rule the line to the hem. Can you see? And I also rule my starting line, that is the waist part of my line. Okay, so I'm going to get my front, and I'm going to place it exactly on this new straight line that I rule. Okay, that is the 8 inches line that I rule. I'm going to place the front part I earlier drafted on it this way. So can you see I place it exactly on this line here? Can you see? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to get my zipper allowance. Okay, remember we are working on the back part now, so we need our zipper allowance, and I'm just going to measure 1.5 inches here. And this 1.5 inches I'm measuring, I'm going to take it all the way down to the knee line area. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it straight, after which I'll get my ruler and I'll connect it into a straight line like this. All right, so after connecting into a straight line, I'm just going to extend the knee line and also do the same on the hip line area. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do is to come up 2 inches above my knee line. That is where I want the slit to be. So if you want the slit to be around the knee line, you can as well do that. Okay, so I went on to mark that line into a straight line. That is the 2 inches I came up above my knee line. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to give my hip a little contour, and I'm going to do that by subtracting 0.5 inches on the zipper allowance of the waist, and the same thing on the zipper allowance of my knee line area. And I'm just going to pick up my ruler and I'll connect this way. Okay, I'm going to connect the point, and that is to have a kind of hip shape around the back part of the zipper area. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to replace the 0.5 inches I subtracted from the zipper allowance around here. Okay, around this side of the waistline. So I proceeded to mark it, and I'm just going to connect this way with my free hand. Can you see what we have? So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out on the side. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up my scissors and I'll cut out on the side here. So I'm just cutting out following the shape of the front part, okay, that we initially cut out. Okay, so I was not cutting, and can you see what we have? So I'll proceed to cut out this part. So from these 2 inches above the knee line, I'm just going to cut through and stop at the zipper area, and from the waist part I'm going to cut through to meet the 2 inches above the knee line. Can you see what we have? And I will just notch this part, that is to remind me that this is the zipper allowance side. Okay, so I'm going to proceed to cutting my lining piece. Okay, I'll cut my lining piece for both the front and the back, and I'm going to join all the sides. Okay, so here is where we're going to be forming our pleat. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll bring it back for us to see. So I was not cutting my lining piece and I joined it. Okay, I went on to sew it, and after sewing it, the next thing I did was that I measured the zipper allowance area. Okay, I measured the zipper allowance area and I joined. Okay, so can you see how I turn on my side with my lining piece? That is what I'm just trying to show. So remember the notched part, I measured my zipper allowance here. Okay, I closed the part where I'll be attaching my zipper with loose stitch, and from this point here I came down all the way to this 2 inches above the knee area, and I stopped here, after which I proceeded to use my chalk to trace the straight line. Okay, so here the next thing that I'm going to be doing is to measure what I have here, and after measuring what I have here, I'm going to divide it into 4 or 5. Okay, so can you see what I have here? So I'm going to divide it into 4 and 5, and I'm going to do that by measuring, marking a particular inches. So I'm going to be marking 1.75. Okay, I'm going to mark 1.75 into about 5 places. Okay, so I'm just dividing the line, okay, with 1.75. Can you see it? So I have about, so it's just similar to dividing the space we have here by 5. Okay, so that is exactly what I am doing here. Okay, so I'll just keep dividing and marking, and also on this upper part I'm going to do the same thing as well. I'll just mark my 1.75, and I'll just pick up my ruler and I'm going to connect. Okay, so I'll connect into a straight line, and after doing that I'm going to go back to my machine and sew a loose stitch on these lines that I rule. Okay, so at the end I will have 5 lines here, sorry. So I went on to sew. Okay, I back stitch only on the starting line, as in the starting line of this line, the beginning and the end. And can you see? So I went on to steam iron. Okay, that's why you see it looking wet. I went on to steam iron it flat. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is to open up this part this way. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to start our folding. Okay, so I'm going to insert my finger this way, making sure that this line that I sew on matches the line on this other one lying flat. Okay, this one flat here, I'm going to ensure that this line matches this seam line. Okay, and I'm going to grab my pin to pin the upper part here, and also do the same thing on this down part. I'm going to open it up this way, ensure that the stitch that join this part matches with the stitch that I have on the down. And can you see the 2 stitch? I'll bring them together like this, and I will just pin it down around there as well. So it's just a kind of dividing the 1.75 we mark into 2. Okay, dividing it into 2, because what we have here is like half of the 1.75. So I'm going to pin this point down and this upper part as well. So I'm going to pleat like this, and I'm going to iron it down flat with my steam. And after ironing it down, I'm going to bring it back to show you. So can you see the first one? I went on to iron it down. Can you see how it's looking? And if you take a good look at it very well, you see that it's just half of the 1.5 inches that we 1.75, sorry, inches that we mark. So I'll flip it to this other side, and you can see the other half. Okay, so can you see what we have here? So the next thing I'm going to do is to pleat the second one, and I'm just going to insert my finger like this again, and I'm going to be making pleats just like the first one. Okay, so sometimes it can be a bit difficult to do this. So what I normally do is I'll get my screwdriver, okay, my long screwdriver, and I'm going to insert it. It helps me to be able to pull off. Can you see it? So I normally use this my screwdriver, and it helps me. Can you see what I have here? Okay, so I'm going to take it to the upper part, and I'll do that. I'll just insert it, and it pulls the other part to the other part, and this other part to second one, making me have that half of 1.75 on both sides, both the left and the right. Okay, so after plating, I'm just going to get my steam iron, and I'm going to iron it down. And after ironing the second part down, I'll still bring it back for you to see what we have. Okay, so I'll sprinkle water on it, and I'll steam iron it down. Okay, So I was done ironing, and do you see what we have? Can you see what we have here? Okay, it's looking very fine. Can you see it? So I'll flip to the other side, and you can see we have two pleats here already. Okay, so can you see? So that is just what it is, and I'm going to insert my finger again, and I'll make the third pleat. So after making the third pleat, I'm also make the fourth pleat and the fifth one. So as you do this, ensure that the sewn line merges with other sewn line. Okay, so that is what I'm just going to be doing with the two remaining parts. Okay, so after I was done doing all of them, I'm going to bring it back to show you what it look like. All right. So just ensure that it is properly aligned. Okay, it is properly placed. All right. Proceeded to iron them flat, divide it and iron it flat. And can you see we have 5 this side, and we also have 5 around this side, which was exactly the number of the stitches we made. So what I'm doing here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sew here. So first I'm going to pin it down, and I'll just sew around there. So I went on to sew. Can you see the stitch I made there? Can you see? So I'll remove my pin, and I'm going to turn it inside out for you to see. Can you see the stitch here? Okay, so I'll turn it back to the wrong side, and can you see this stitch here? We're going to be losing it. That was why we made it loose stitch, so that it will be easy for us to lose. So I'll go ahead and do that and bring it back for us to see. So I was done losing it, and can you see what we have on the right side? Can you see our pleats? Yes, it is that easy. Okay, so can you see it on the wrong side? Can you see how beautiful it is? That is a simple way to make this pleated slit. It's not really difficult. If you just follow this procedure, you will surely get it right. Okay, so this particular pleat that you may have admired in other people's dress, now you know how to make it. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so, so that when I drop tutorials like this, you will get notified. Like and share this video. Also drop a comment for me or a question. Can you see the outcome of our pleats? Can you see how beautiful it is looking? It is that easy. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I wish to see you when next I drop another tutorial. Okay, until then, stay safe, stay well, bye.